What if I started doing this as my job instead of fun? What if I got serious about this and, as they say, put on my big girl panties and actually gave this some thought? So I'm happy to tell you that I am going to start a publishing company, and I am going to make my books. I'm going to print them. I'm going to distribute them. And I just wanted to share that with you. It is minor. It is minuscule to what you went through. But I felt like shit. I really felt terrible for a while. I mean, it was bad. I mean, I went through my days, Todd, where I was okay and I was, kind of, what do you call that? Maintenance. I was doing the things around the house that need. I was in maintenance mode, but I wasn't in progress and work mode. Can you share some thoughts on what I just shared with you?
Well, yes. First of all, congratulations. That's amazing. And just like you said, fear will run people's lives. You can't fail if you don't try. And I think that's another thing that we deal with in society also is, and I say this being funny, but it's lightweight, truthful. It all started with participation trophies, right?
Stickers too.
you got to learn to lose.
Yeah.
You got to learn to fail. We're human beings. We can't always win or be given to. Then we don't have no sense of loss, and that's where that sense of entitlement comes in. And there's a whole variance of it, sense of entitlement, but you're going to have days where I can't do this, man. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do this, and it'll take one little spark. You can't let a bad 5 minutes ruin your whole day.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of a push from someone. One of my biggest character defects, and a friend of mine sent me this, and it was a simple little saying. It was a simple meme. Quit expecting you from others.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is, it's as simple as that may be. I used to, a lot of the times, and it's kind of shitty, but, somebody would go, oh, I twisted my wrist and I can't do this. You don't understand how bad it hurts. And I would just look at him and go, really? You don't know what pain is. That's not for me to decide.
I understand.
What I'm getting at
wow.
is your emotional impact of what you had on in your life is what's within our capacity and how we deal with it.
Yeah.
I had to. There wasn't an option. There wasn't a, you know what, I'm going to go ahead with plan B on this one. Is there, something? No, it's something I had to do, but it's in the manner that I approached it, and it's basically like attacked in this situation. My whole game plan, which was basically nil at the time, I was winging it with what you went through.
Well,
you can fall into a depression hole that's crippling.
So during this process, I realized that I've had a lot of jobs, and every job that I have, every single one, with the exception of a few, I have gained a best friend. So I have friends from 25, 30 years ago that I used to work with. And throughout the years, that's what's happened. And I started putting that into perspective. Well, that's why I had that job. It wasn't really for the experience of the job. I now am blessed with these people in my life. Contrary to that, I become obsessed with the people that I work with. They are the people that I now spend the most time with, and they are my family. I get involved. I listen to them about their woes, their kids, their troubles with their, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. I become involved. So when I lose a job, whether I leave or whether this is the first time in my life I've ever been laid off. That was another thing. So whether I lose a job or I'm laid off or you're not needed, whatever, I feel like I just lost a relationship. So the same feeling you have when you break up with a girl, I go through that with a job. That's how sickening I am. I'm just become very attached. So when this happened, I started feeling like every single person in that company who I loved, they don't love me. They don't care about me. And it hurt. Now, follow that up with putting yourself out there in the workforce universe. I'm sending out my resume. I'm not getting calls. Then all of a sudden I started getting calls. So I look at looking for a job a lot like a dating site. You put your profile out there and you just better be ready for a lot of rejection. So now I'm already down, Todd. Little knock on the Achilles, picking myself back up, brushing myself off, saying, is that all you got? Then I go through 2 or 3 interviews, think I've got the job. Nope, we went in another direction. Nope, we're going with somebody else. Nope, we're going with somebody else. Now, I'm interested in your opinion. It was rough. It's been rough. I'm interested in your opinion. Oh, and I rejected a couple of them too. They just weren't right financially, or what does that job look like? And so I just started thinking, is somebody trying to tell me something? Because, I'm very spiritual. I'm full of faith. And while that goes by the wayside when I, beat myself up or think bad about myself because I didn't get the job or whatever, what are your thoughts on, possibly those things could have been telling me, like, you had an accident and fell down a 40-foot hole, for the love of God. I was just being pushed. I almost couldn't breathe, Todd.
I think, people can get upset or whatever it may be, and it's just the word I use for it. I think God's got a plan for all of us, and sometimes we need a kick in the ass to change that route. And I was working and stuff. Yeah, I was in recovery, and but I was still doing my own thing. I still wasn't. The only thing I hadn't done was, pick up a drink in a sense. Mm-hmm. I started going back to old behaviors. I started being, a lot more ornery than I was, and I would just go, who cares? I'm sober. That still doesn't give you the right to hurt people and stuff. I needed a direction path. On the same token, I am very thick-headed, I'm very stubborn, and I don't like being told what to do, and I don't like being told no. So when people would approach me and say, hey, man, you're being some type of way, or that wasn't cool, or whatever, and I'd be like, oh, well, get over it. I wouldn't acknowledge me being wrong. I wouldn't acknowledge that I hurt your feelings. Tough shit. Grow up.
Yeah.
And there was a reason for everything that happened to me. That's another reason why I said I wouldn't take it back. Even after I was in recovery almost up to 18 months, Mom still wouldn't talk to me. Barely. She would text me, happy birthday or Merry Christmas. She would text me and say, hey, you got mail here. You can meet me at the end of the driveway Tuesday at 6. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because you know how many times I said I was sorry? Do you know how many times I said I'm going to do it this time? Do you know how many times all these words that I regurgitated over and over and over again and failed? That's another reason I was getting at, is we lead by example. Actions always show. Somebody's always watching, whether you know or not. Somebody's always paying attention. When we do that, then we see people gravitate towards us, good people. Because negative people, the first thing they want to do is browbeat you or beat you down because they're miserable in themselves. The trash will take itself out. You keep doing good, they're going to do one of two things. They're going to stray away from you, or they're going to want what you have and do what you're doing. to make themselves better. It's the same thing like what you're doing with the work then. There's a reason for that. It's not that you aren't qualified. It's not that you're probably just an amazing entity to the industry just because of your personality alone.
Yeah.
There's a reason for the path that it's put you on. Maybe those books are more important in what children need and or what parents need. Okay, perfect example. What do you see a majority of small children doing now?
Yeah.
What do they have in their hand?
Yep.
A phone. You serious? A phone.
I know.
Johnny Brian, here, give me your phone.
I see it in the grocery store too. You know, it drives me crazy. And, you know, Todd, it's funny that you say that. I know I'm going to have a little bit of a rough go at it because my books will not be online. You can buy them online, but you can only buy them in print. And it's because I want, and I hope, and I'm going to advocate getting that sensation of a children's book in their hands. I want to have parents get back to reading a book sitting beside their kids, even rather than Kindle. I know I am going to have a rough go at this, but that is what's going to be. I will probably have a story time. I have a YouTube channel, and I will be doing story time with kids and being an idiot and a goofball, but which will require them to be on technology, but it will be a good marriage.
Well, that's a good thing, an educational thing, not giving them a game or a goofy cartoon to watch or whatever it may be. You know, I'll listen to virtual books.
Mm-hmm.
You know, instead of reading, because I'm getting old as shit. My eyes are bad and it gives me a headache sometimes.
Yep.
But anything's better than, you know. I swear, if we went back to more simpler things, and I love technology. Don't get me wrong.
I do too.
And I think what it's done exponentially has done wonders in so many aspects, but it's also very damaging.
Mm-hmm. Best of us or worst of us. I always say that.
You know, playing outside, you know, we got grounded. We had to go inside. That was torture.
Right.
To have to stay in the house. If you stayed home from school, you weren't watching TV and playing video games in your room. We didn't have a TV in our room, let alone, you know, but, you know, you're sick, you're staying in bed. That's why I never missed school. Do you know who just passed away? Speaking of which. Do you remember Mr. Kernan?
Oh, yeah, I did see that. Yeah, it came through my post.
But that guy suspended me twice in 4th and 5th grade because I had umpteen million detentions in a row. But I, you know...
In 4th grade? What the hell were you doing to get a detention in 4th grade? For the love of God. What? I want answers.
I spent half the year in detention for recess. I never saw outside. And
what were you doing?
He wanted to give me out of school suspension, like to stay at home, and I'm like, please don't do that. You're gonna make me. No way am I going home. You know, I had to. You know,
right.
Even if Mom wasn't there, that means I would have had to go to Aunt Sharon's house, and that was not happening. And stay in the house all day. No way. So, you know, I was doing school. Just dumb stuff. Whatever it may be, you know, chewing gum or I don't know, picking on, who knows?
No, I used to, see, here's the thing. Here's what's funny. They used to make me, when I chewed gum or when I talked too much in class, imagine that. I used to have to write, I will not talk in class, like 100 times. Well, what they didn't know is that wasn't punishment for me. I absolutely love to write. I love writing with a pencil. So I would do that and then it just wasn't effective. But I remember, every once in a while you get in trouble, you got to stay in for recess. But I think that happened to me one time